to make a basic block using the Accuquilt cutting system. The featured pattern is from Thimble Creek Designs, and it is called Santa's Village. We're on month 3 for our online quilt along, and this is the block that I'm going to show you how to make. So let's break down the block with a little bit of math. Here's our block. This is a 12-inch finished block, and it is a grid that is 2 inches. So let me break it down for you. This is 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2, 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. So each of these units are finished at 2 inches. That means this is 2 inches. This, if it were a half square triangle, is 2 inches. Since it's too wide, it's going to be 2 inches tall and 4 inches wide. Then this is a finished 2-inch, and then inside in this pinwheel, these are also 2-inch finish. Those are half square triangles. The blocks are a checkerboard border, a simple square block, a flying geese unit, and pinwheels, and it's a 2-inch grid. So let's look at what Accuquilt dies you'll need. The block system that we're going to use for the majority of our block is the cube system, mix and match 8-inch block cube. And from out of that, we're going to use die number 2, which is 2.5-inch cut squares. They'll finish at 2. And then we're going to use die number 4. Those are 4-inch finish quarter square triangles. That's going to help us with our flying geese. And then we're going to use 5, which is half square triangles, 2-inch finished. So let's go ahead and start cutting. To do the checkerboard around the outside, they're made out of 1.5-inch strips, so you can use the 1.5-inch strip cutting die from Accuquilt. Let's pick some fabrics for our block. So here's our block right here. You'll want a light fabric or a background, something dark for the checkerboard, and 2 contrasting fabrics for the center. I also prep my fabrics by using a starch alternative, totally up to you. I use a mixture of Terial Magic and Best Press, 2/3 of this, 1/3 of Terial Magic, and I put it in a mister bottle, and it atomizes it and gets it dispersed very nicely. So I prep my fabrics, I pick them, and then I prep them with some starch, and then I'm going to get ready to cut. We're going to start with this square right over here, which is a 2.5-inch cut square. It is a die right here. It is out of the 8-inch mix and match cube, and it's die number 2. There are 4 of them here, so I just need a piece of fabric big enough to cover that space. Getting ready to cut my 2.5-inch squares, and this is my die number 2 out of my 8-inch cube. And I've taken a Sharpie marker and marked around my die so that I can see the angle at which the die is on the foam. And what that allows me to do is when I line up my fabric, I can have it at that angle so that the grain is cut with the squares, because all these dies are at an angle so that it doesn't go in straight into the cutter on a solid line. So this will help me be conscious of my grain and line that up, and then I'll lay my mat over that and run it through the cutter. I'm going to work on these flying geese units right here. So it's a 2-inch by 4-inch finished flying geese. I'm using die number 4, which is out of the mix and match 8-inch cube. There's going to be 4 of them out of here. It's actually labeled quarter square triangle. I'll get a piece of background fabric that I've starched, and I'll cover it up and cut that. We're going to get ready to cut these half square triangle units here. They make up the part of the flying geese unit and a half square triangle unit in the center. They're all 2-inch finished. They're out of the 8-inch mix and match cube, and it's die number 5. So let's count them out. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. There are on this die 2 at a time, so I need 4 layers of fabric over top of this in order to get all my pieces. We decided I needed 4 layers of fabric. I have a strip of fabric here. It's about 3 inches. I'm going to fan fold it so I have multiple layers. And at this point, I have 4 layers of fabric, and I just need to cover that die space like so. So I have 4 layers of fabric cutting through that. I'll cover it with my mat and start cutting. Just cut one color here. I need to cut the same thing of another color for your pinwheel and your flying geese, so that's next. Now I'm going to put my block together. I've got it started here. My flying geese background is from die number 4, the quarter square triangle. My pinwheel half square triangles and the pieces to my flying geese are out of die number 5, which is called half square triangles. And then this is the little squares in the corner, 2.5 inch squares. That's out of die number 2. Let's put our block together. At this point, you're ready for your checkerboard border. You could use your 1.5 inch strip cutting die to cut your strip sets. You sew them together in strips, and then you subcut them into 1.5 inch squares and make this cute little checkerboard border. Thanks for joining me with Accuquilt and Santa's Village block number 3. Happy sewing. This is Jenny from The Sewing Palace.